These are problems 21 through 30 for SAT practice test number 2 in test prep, corresponding to assignment 14. So problem 21, this is a word key style problem. And there's a little drawing up here. We'll try to get that in for a little bit here. So you figure out the volume of this thing, it's 200 cubic meters, and then you multiply that by 264 gallons as a cubic meter. So you're looking at 52,800 gallons that you're trying to fill. So how many hours is that going to take to fill half of it? So you can have that. That's probably the better thing to do. And then you have to divide by 55 gallons per minute times 60 minutes in an hour. So it's this unit thing again that you're trying to get to work out. And so you got gallons per hour in the bottom, and then you flip and multiply the gallons per hour equals gallons times hours per gallon, all this goofiness with units. But that's what you would do to get 8 hours. What is the value of x over y? So you have to solve for both x and y, or be clever enough to create. So what I did is I gathered all the x's on one side, so added x, so y is negative 2x, and then I divided by both sides by something to create an x over y on the right side. You probably could choose numbers, but I saw this as a very clever way to solve for x over y in the algebra way. But you probably could choose, you'd have to probably do some, so if you picked x as 1, that's negative 3 on the right. So you'd have to have y be negative 2. So 1 over negative 2. Yeah, numbers would work. That's for sure. Try the numbers game. Problem 23. So this is growth, exponential growth. So here's your formula. A is the initial amount present at time 0. That's 20. And then we have a 5% increase each year. So this would not quite give this table, because notice that it's by 6 instead of 1. So you'd have to do 20 times 1.05 to the 6th power to get the 27. So that's something that could be a little tricky for you because it's by the year. So make sure that you're watching out for that. So here's another one again, where maybe you can pick some values. So I just took Q and divided it in half, R divided it in half, and then simplified everything down. So in doing that, you just have Q on the top over R squared over 4. Let me put that up here, Q over R squared over 4. So as I've told you in a previous problem, you flip and multiply. You flip the bottom fraction and multiply. So it looks like they're testing that. So we got to compare that to the 2Q over R squared. So it's a doubling. So the result is a doubling of the original. So P is the answer. So P is doubled is the right thing there. All right, 25. So we're analyzing this table. And so what I did is I figured out the percent increase from each. So according to the table, which age group contained the smallest percentage of people who did not own a vehicle? So I'm sorry, it's not a percent increase, it's a straight percent. So the smallest, you're looking at none over the total. And pretty much, you can This is, 23 to 35, or 2.3 to 35. This is 3.4 to 26, 2 to 29, 5.3 to 29. So I divided all those out. These two were close, but this was smaller. So 30 to 49 is the age group that did not, smallest percentage to not own vehicle. So according to the table, approximately what is the percent probability that the owner of a hybrid or electric car is more than 50 years old? So right here, so more than 50, you have to add these two, and then we're talking about the group of the total this way. So this is a four-way table, actually a 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way, 4 by 5-way table. But notice that always on the margins are the totals. So usually you have to use one of those totals in your computation. So adding both of those and then dividing by 93, 96, 27. Which of the following is not a solution? So you need to be in radians mode here. And so if you're going to use your calculator on this, so this is the one. So you're doing sine of negative pi over 2. That's that. And then if we're going to square that, so that's all that this means, is to take that whole thing squared. So it's like putting parentheses around the whole thing and squaring it. So obviously those are not equal. So negative pi over 2 is the one that does not work. But the trick here is this. So how do you know? Well, these are angle measures. You got to have a little knowledge of trig. And so they're in radians and not degrees. But for the most part, you'll need your calculator in degrees. Okay, construction worker uses a chain link fence to completely enclose a rectangle. The worker has 40 feet of fencing material. Which of the graphs below shows the total enclosed area as a function of the length of one side of the rectangle? Note, graphs are not drawn to scale. So here's the picture. So if we add all those up, we get 40 feet. And so you want to take the product and it gives this quadratic. So it's a quadratic that's opening upside down, or opening down, I should say. So with the y-intercept of 0. So note that you would need to, so it's pretty close here. Note that you would need to search out the vertex, which would occur at 10 something. Or even a better way would be the x-intercepts. The x-intercepts would be at 0 and 20. So this one shows 0 and 40. But the vertex would be at 10, 100. So you got to kind of check those out, which you can actually do on a calculator table. I'm not going to put the calculator up right now, but it would require some knowledge of finding the x-intercepts on the table and perhaps finding the vertex point, which in my Algebra 2 class, students learn how to do that. 29. Which of the following expressions is equivalent? So note this is the FOIL product. Also know that you have a calculator which can do this. So 5 minus I. So where is your I button? Your I button is right there behind the decimal point. And you can have that. So 2 plus 6I. And there it is, 16 plus 28I. But it is the FOIL product. I squared is -1, so you insert that after you do this all out. So that becomes 10 plus 6. -6 times -1 is 6, so 16 plus 28I. Problem 30. Okay, is rewritten as that. What is A? So it might be useful to try some values of X. But say we chose x as 1. Then we got to figure out this top. So 9 over 4 equals a plus 1 over 4. Well, a would then be 2, 8 over 4. So which one of these is 2 when you let x be 1? Numbers game. Oh my. Other than that, you can factor and cancel. That works too. But I like the numbers game a lot. So that's problems 21 through 30 on SAT practice test 2.